morning, everybody. This is one of the most exciting times ever to be in the world of work. And for all of you, it's a time of great opportunities, but for us, some risk as well. So this, what we want to talk about today and through this presentation is telling you about how the world of work is changing. And then because of that, how the culture within organizations have to change. And you as project management professionals see that on the front end. So by the end of this webinar, you'll understand how the world of work is changing, what it is that digital companies do differently and how they react and respond differently and have different cultural values than in previous industrial companies. And then also why culture is one of the few sustainable competitive advantages left for all companies. Cultures are going to become a more and more important part of companies as we go forward. And also, finally, we're going to leave you with a roadmap to help you change your organization.
Hey, John?
Yes, sir.
Your volume is very low. People are typing in. They can't hear you. I could barely hear you.
Okay, so I will try to... Can you hear me much better that way?
Maybe lean in a little. I heard you a little bit there. That was better, but...
Okay. How about that? Does that help?
Yes.
Okay, great. So, we are going to have a exciting ride for all of us in the world of work coming up, and so the more that you know about the world coming forward, the better off you're going to be and more successful you will be. So just about how the world is changing. Right now, we are involved in the fourth, what some refer to as the fourth industrial revolution. If we think back, we have changed from over the course of time from the Stone Age to the Bronze Age to the Industrial Age, and now what I would say we are in the Digital Age. And this Digital Age has really started in 2008, the time of the financial crisis, but more significantly to that was that it was the first day of Amazon Web Services, which is the platforms that Amazon Web Services created, which has really changed the way in which world of work is now. So what is also interesting to think about is we probably haven't been through a change of the nature of work like this since the time of the invention of electricity and automobiles back at the beginning of the last century. And so many people, our forefathers and ancestors who have gone through that change are no longer here to help us with that and tell us what it was like. But those changes were dramatic, and our changes are going to be dramatic as well. So I'm very happy to hear that you are all joining us to be thinking about that as you prepare and thinking about your careers and future work employability also. So let's talk about that old world versus the new world. That old world was the blue suits, and now you see the blue jeans. Work was a place where factory work had to be done, but through the technologies and digitization, we are now be able to do work anywhere. Just as you and I are all in different places and we're on this webinar together, that is a part of the digital age that we are already experiencing. It's going to change the nature of our relationship to organizations. For project managers in particular, what it is that I refer to the future as much more projectized. And work is going to be much more based in teams and on projects, and what work will be available will be much more project-based, which should be a great opportunity for project managers coming forward. All of us are going to learn how to work in teams, and we're going to have to learn to work on multifunctional teams with people who are no longer within our functional or professional areas. Things are going to be moving to assignments, and you're going to see that where work is being done is going to be different. So after that, we're going to see that what is the reason for this is because the nature of work and the nature of business is changing. We're moving from physical assets to electronic assets, and I would even say digital assets, that organizations are focused on digitizing what they do in the way, not just the way they provide services, but also the nature of the services themselves. Much more digital products. We're moving from financial capital to human capital. The person becomes the most important part of the organization. We always have said this through decades in annual reports, but it's becoming true now. We're moving from natural resources, raw materials, to human resources, from the need to be precise and correct and right, and now innovation, which is continuous improvement, not constant perfection. And most importantly, in the last line here, the nature of organizational management is changing from command and control to empathy and empowering. In many ways, people have said, Daniel Pink said that management is the way it is currently practiced in organizations is really an 1850s technology that was invented for the mills of Manchester, England. And I think that is true, and we're going to see a revolution in that as we move forward.
Now, the change from the industrial age to the digital age, this is Frank Wander. What we see here, as John said, is we're moving from financial capital to human capital. And let's compare these two eras and what that means. When you look at the industrial age on the left, it's very easy to describe who won. These were innovative companies in their day, but they were the ones that were the most knowledgeable and efficient users of capital equipment to turn raw materials into finished products. It was all about capital. It was capitalism. Factories were very, very expensive. Getting all of the capital equipment, putting it together, putting a process around it. If you could do that better than anybody else, you won. Now let's look at the digital age, where it's human capital. The winners in this era are going to be the innovative companies that are the most knowledgeable users of equipment, this time talent, to ever more efficiently turn raw materials, and that is the raw material of this era, ideas, into innovative products, which comes down to execution. Execution will be much more agile, fast, and it is going to be these innovative companies who can turn ideas into, turn concepts into reality that are going to win. When we compare the two eras, again, what we see is in the information era, very much driven by computers. This is the last part of the end of the industrial age and the dawning of the digital age. But let's compare the two pieces of equipment that drove it. In the prior age, it was computing. In this age, it is going to be the human computer, the neocortex. In the prior era, it was electrical energy to run the machines. Now it's going to be emotional energy, which is why these emotional intelligence workouts and getting everybody to team up and work well together and be inspired is so important. In the prior era, you had network adapters to connect all the equipment. Well, in the human era, it's social intelligence. That is the network adapter for a human being. Computers always had memory. Humans have storage in their brain. We had a network protocol which described how all the devices connected together. Now we have culture, and culture is really the way people work together. And culture needs to be defined to make that work as efficiently as possible. Computers always came with specialized features. People come with aptitudes. There were custom applications. Now there's institutional experience that can only be learned on the job. And lastly, the network itself, which in the new world of work is in fact the social system. So what you see on the right, this is the most important equipment in the digital era. It is the human, and everybody will become experts at learning how to maximize the output of the human infrastructure in these companies. And IT has suffered from great failure over many, many decades. And I've written articles on this extensively. I wrote about it in my book. The fact of the matter is, IT was really kind of the leading edge of the digital era. It was always creative at its core. And as companies tried to apply industrial era process management to IT, never knowing or understanding the human side or how to bring that together and inspire people to get the best, we ended up with repeated IT failure and under-delivery. And I think those industrial roles always mask the creative reality that we see in this profession. Managers are much closer to conductors, to inspire people, to tap the mind and emotion of the folks, to weave the social fabric that brings the people together. Programmers were always composers, hearing about what was needed and composing a piece for the business. Customers were critics. We had design tools. Well, we have instruments, If you look at this, even a design session, when people really are inspired and they start